Okay, so this is a gathering of people that are, I believe, interested in supporting the needs of the Boulder County community. My name is Gail. I'm with Longmont Yarn Shop. I know Mary's coming on. She's our internal champion that's helping. She's a volunteer that's helping the yarn store provide resources for the community. In the past, over November of 2011, we started making warm things for the homeless. Long before the yarn store opened, and we've been doing stuff ever since, and we have chosen March as our month to really focus on the needs of our community. So Mary's still coming in, but we have guests from the R Center, Hope. Liz is from the, remind me, Liz?
Colorado Friendship?
Yes, Colorado Friendship. Okay, so let's start. Mary's still trying to come in. We're recording. I think what we should do is start with Liz, if you would. That's the agreement we had at the front end, is we're going to hear from these organizations and learn of ways that we can reach out and support them.
Sure. You want me to start?
Yes, thank you.
Sure. So I'm Liz Friedenson. I'm the executive director of Colorado Friendship. We're a nonprofit that's been working in this community for over 22 years. We have several programs, but the one that probably is most closely aligned to what you guys are trying to do here is we call it our Meals on the Street program. So we have a mobile trailer, and every Sunday we bring that trailer down to Boulder, and we set up in a parking lot where we put up tables and other things, and we serve a hot meal to the homeless that come there. And we also load our trailer with all sorts of supplies, and the homeless can receive all sorts of clothing and other supplies that they need from the trailer. So we've been, again, running that program for over 22 years, and we've never missed a Sunday in that time. We can see anywhere from 20 to 120 homeless on any given Sunday night. So the needs vary quite a bit. Needless to say, there's a higher need in the winter. We're seeing folks who, for the most part, will be sleeping outside or in cars or that kind of thing. So as far as our needs go, I'm going to guess that most of us have pretty much the same needs. But of course, I always tell people, think warm and camping. Anything that people can use to be warm if they're going to be sleeping outside. We definitely need coats and sleeping bags and pants, sweatshirts, jackets, those kinds of things. We can use hats and scarves and gloves. We have a high need right now for men's shoes. That's something like sneakers and boots. What else? Things like definitely coats, sleeping bags, anything warm that folks can use. We're pretty well set on our food. We choose to purchase the food because we make a big meal that we serve to all of the folks that come. It's easier for us to budget money that we go out and purchase the food and make a big meal that we serve. So we don't do a lot of food collecting at Colorado Friendship, but definitely the more clothing that we can get in, the easier that is for us. We will purchase some things when we can't get them, like socks and underwear, because of course we want those new. But other things we try and take in as much as we can, and that helps our budget. You asked for things that we don't need. I would say we certainly do not need anything dressy. We are not seeing people who are looking for work clothes or that kind of thing. We do not, thankfully at this program, we do not see children. We see mostly men and some women. So we tend to focus more on men's clothes, but also women's clothes. There are some oddities that, like, we find that the folks that come to us will not really take sweaters. So we tend to not collect sweaters, dress pants, dress shoes, all those kinds of things we don't really have a need for. So yeah, pretty much anything warm clothes are hugely helpful. And yeah, we really appreciate giving us this opportunity and to, we work with the community and collect some gear. I don't know, is that, is there more information you'd like, or is that,
Is there a drop-off location where people can bring these items?
oh, right. So we have our warehouse, which is located in Longmont. However, we are all volunteers, so we tend to kind of come and go as needed. We're not always there. So I can suggest two things. If you're closer to the Boulder area, our trailer is in location every Sunday night. Sometimes if I have folks that are close to Boulder, they'll actually stop by on a Sunday night and drop off stuff, which we'll then bring back to our warehouse and store it and that kind of thing. For people who are closer to Longmont, I can give you my email and phone number. I'll put it in the chat. And then what's probably best is if you contact me or send me an email, and then I'll let you know when we'll have folks planning to stop at the warehouse, and that's the best time to drop things. Unfortunately, we've learned over the years that to put a drop box in front of our location results in collecting a whole lot of stuff that is not useful, and we just don't have the staff to sort through the stuff. So we try and somewhat regulate, what comes in, and try and not let the junk pile up. So it's easier to collect stuff when we're there. I do see some questions. I don't know if you want me to answer these or just answer them in chat.
No, I'm glad you saw Bab's question. So
Okay. So yeah, Andy, you have extra socks. Okay, I'll talk to Andy, and I'll post in the chat my email and phone number. And so yeah, for sure, if anybody has donations, to just pop me an email, and we can work on a drop off if that works. Okay.
Babs wondered if small men's sizes are okay.
Yes. In fact, for reasons, things that I can never really explain, we are always short on men's like 30 to 34 size pants. I don't know. I guess they're all really skinny because 30 to 34, we can't keep up with. We have bigger sizes seem to do okay. And the other thing that, yeah, I guess the other thing we've had a lot of requests for lately are just like sweatpants and leggings and that kind of thing. I guess, yeah, I think folks are trying to layer a little bit more, and they like the sweatpants because we tend to carry more jeans in our what we've got. But yeah, I don't know, sweatpants have been requested. They love hoodies. Hoodies are big. Anything, the fleeces, the sweatshirts, but particularly things with hoods, jackets, sweatshirts. Those are definitely desired. So.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for sharing. And
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us. I'm trying to figure out how to reply to everybody here.
My neighbor, Sharon Naiman, comes and distributes stuff from the yarn store to Colorado Friendship.
Okay. Yes, and Sharon is a big lover of pets, so she actually brings us oftentimes pet food, and so that's nice that we have on hand. So when we have folks come through that have dogs or cats, we can hand them a little bit of pet food, and she often brings that and donates it. So that's very helpful.
Yeah. And she was actually someone that we had a donation of a really bright shawl that was kind of a neck thing, and the woman that she gave it to in Boulder at the meal that you guys were serving was so excited. She said, I've never had anything handmade in my life and anything so colorful and beautiful. So that blew the theory out of the water that people are trying to be discreet and wear dark colors and browns and blend in. So.
Yeah, it's always hard to pinpoint the different preferences that you'll see. I have noticed we tend to not pick up a whole lot of real bright orange and yellow things. They do tend to want darker clothes, but that's not necessarily everybody. Sometimes some folks are real happy to have something colorful and bright, and so yeah, we never know. But yeah, you definitely can't go wrong with the darker colors. That's and I find it's also easier for us when things are more generic, things that can be for either, when we get things that are hot pink, we have a lot of men who look at them and say, I'm not going to wear that. So certainly things that can kind of go, for anybody are very helpful.
Great.
Thank you.
You bet. Mary, I see you're back, and we went ahead and Yes, we're back. I don't see you now. We went ahead and let Liz speak, and I guess we have Tiffany. Tiffany, if you can hear us and can go on audio, tell us a
I
bit.
can hear you.
Great.
I hope that you can also hear me. So everyone, I apologize that I am not on video. I would much rather be seeing all of your faces than seeing the road, but I am currently driving, and so I am on audio only, which also means I'm not particularly able to respond to the chat. So Gail or Mary, if you don't mind just reading questions if they come up, I would appreciate that. So with that said, also, if you start to not be able to hear me, please try to indicate that so that I'm not keeping you all occupied without you actually being able to hear anything. So now with that said, I'm Tiffany. I'm the Director of Development with the Boulder Shelter for the Homeless. And our mission is to create avenues to stable housing for our community's homeless adults from a foundation of safe and supportive shelter. And so we offer a number of different programs. They range from coordinated entry, which is the entry point for anyone experiencing homelessness in Boulder County, to receive a referral to one of the different programs that can support them. And that can happen in Longmont or in Boulder. And we start there, and then we offer street outreach, and we offer shelter programs. We offer severe weather shelter during the winter months. And then we, of course, ultimately want to offer housing. And so we work toward housing as the ultimate goal, no matter what referral someone gets into one of our programs. So that said, the vast majority of people that we serve, we are serving through the shelter itself. Our capacity during COVID went from 160 down to 90 at one point, and we have been able to make modifications to the facility to open our doors back up to 140 individuals. And then during the severe months of the year, we have sheltered up to 25 people in hotel rooms so that we are maintaining our capacity, our historic winter capacity, and also providing an environment that is safer for our most vulnerable clients who, should they be exposed to COVID, might fall terribly ill. So we have 20 to 25 people on any given night who are staying in the hotel. They're still receiving services through us, like case management, and they get their meals from us. They would still be getting supplies, like your contributions of warm things. They are still unhoused, so they have a place to call home, in the sense that they have a hotel room right now, but that is not a home. And so they're still individuals in need of support, both during the day and in the evening. And so we continue to support them as any other client that is unhoused and seeking our services. So that's sort of a breadth of what all we do, in a very small nutshell. And then in terms of our needs, we are a congregate shelter environment, and therefore we, of course, have regular needs because we see different people from one day to the next. We have regular needs for hats and gloves and scarves and warm things that you all are able to make. And we do only serve adults, so like Colorado Friendship, we're not in need of children's size items, so adults only. And I would say at this point, scarves are something that we have in abundance, which is not always the case. But I think we have enough scarves to get us through this winter and maybe next winter with our current supply. So I would say on the spectrum of things that are warm, but maybe not as needed for our agency, had some mittens would be more well received than scarves. And that is independent. I will say those beautiful shawls that you all have made in the past that our residents have received, the residents who have received them have had similar responses to the story that Gail shared. And I understand it. When I have picked them up in the past from the yarn shop, I have also thought, wow, these are spectacular. So thank you all for the work that you do. It really is beautiful and so greatly appreciated. That both new and homemade factor just really resonates for some individuals in a really special way. And so it adds a feeling of being seen, a feeling of being valued, and a feeling of being, I don't know if normal is really the appropriate term, but it's more typical. At this stage, and particularly in the Boulder area, it feels very comfortable to have something that's homemade and nice and new. So I love that you all continue to hold this event, and I'm greatly appreciative that the shelter continues to be a beneficiary. When I think about the broad spectrum of need for the shelter, so beyond the warm things, because we serve so many different individuals, all personal protective equipment is still something we need. We are giving out masks all of the time because we require masks. And so we accept donations of any kind of mask. So homemade, regular surgical mask, anything that's available that has been deemed safe by the CDC, we are grateful to. We're also always in need of gloves, in the sense of a latex or non-latex glove, and hand sanitizer. So those items remain high commodities for us because if we don't have them, we do have to spend money on them to ensure that we can have a safe setting. We have also modified our meal system because we're not allowing volunteers in the building right now, just to mitigate risk for the number of different individuals coming in and out of the shelter every day. So we are doing sack meals, which makes it such that we have very different food needs than we typically have. And so donations of anything you might think would go well into a sack lunch are items that we do appreciate in the sense of food donations. But if it would be something you would cook, so a can of beans or something of that sort, and right now that is something we're not able to utilize, and so we're really trying not to fill our limited storage with items that we can't turn around and make use of. So I think that's sort of the spectrum of what we have going on and what we need and some of what we don't.
All right, Tiffany, well, I know this is typically not a day that you're at the shelter, and it's great that you could come in through the audio portion of this. So your website has a lot of information that's really valuable too for folks to know how to support your organization. So thank you for coming in. And again, this will be recorded so people can listen to this if they missed the meeting today.
Great, thank you.
All right, the next person I'd like to introduce is Mark from the R Center.
Yeah,
The R Center has a legacy of giving to our community, and we're grateful for them.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Mark Cowell. I've been the executive director for just under 2 years now. Came in just before the pandemic happened. The R Center, our mission is to help people move towards self-sufficiency by unifying community resources. The R Center has been serving the St. Vrain Valley community since the mid-'80s. And over the course of that period of time, of course, a lot of things change in the organization. changes to meet the needs of the community. And about 4 to 5 years ago, the organization started to transition to a family resource center, which I think puts us in a unique situation, if you will, when it comes to serving the homeless community. We don't serve the homeless community as deeply as we once did. And part of that's because we have such great partner organizations in our community. So, for instance, we work a lot with Hope. We do a lot of referrals to Hope because Hope is really taking that lane over quite a bit, especially with the coordinated entry and their partnership with the Boulder shelter. But that doesn't mean that we don't work with the homeless population. As a matter of fact, right now, during this pandemic, all of our services have been moved outside. So for an individual or family to access, let's say our pantry, it's a drive-through system. We still have our community cafe up and running, and we're providing lunches from 12 to noon, 7 days a week. And we'll have 30 to almost 40 walk-ups come to get lunch every day. And we know approximately 90% of those individuals who walk up are homeless. And then we also have another 10 to 12 individuals who drive through who live in their campers or live in their cars. So we still have a connection with the homeless community, but it's just not quite as deep. And the way we look at ourselves in the homeless, working in the homeless community or the homeless world is a continuum. I look at us as we're before a family or an individual might become homeless, and then after. So a lot of our work is try to prevent an individual or household from becoming homeless. So that's been huge for us during this pandemic because we've seen many, many families, many, many individuals who have lost their job. They might have worked 2 or 3 jobs, and that second job or that third job might have been in the restaurant industry, or might have been with small business. And when those positions were lost, all of a sudden that extra $200 or $300 they were earning, they're not, and now they're really struggling to meet all their needs and really facing the difficult decisions of, do I skip meals this week so I can pay my utilities? Do I skip this bill so I have enough for my rent? So a lot of the work that we've done in this past year is to help individuals and help households stay as up to date as they can with their rents or their mortgage. We know that, the governor and the federal government has put moratoriums in place for evictions, but eventually those are going to expire. They're going to disappear. And if a household is $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 behind, when those moratoriums are lifted, those households, they're not going to come up with $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. If they did, they would have been paying for their rent all along. So we're doing our very best to provide supports wherever we can to help that family keep up until hopefully their job returns. One big thing that we saw as well is when the school district went virtual, a lot of households went from 2 incomes down to 1. Because they might have had a second grader, but they don't have any natural resources close to home. And one of the parents had to give up their job if they couldn't work remotely so they could be home and provide the supervision of their child. So again, a lot of our work is trying to prevent an individual or household from becoming homeless and then having to access the other services of these other great organizations on the call today. And then also, because of the great work the organizations are doing, we have success and individuals get to move into low-income housing or housing that they can better afford. They might have gotten a job and they're moving forward, and we can provide supports to help them get stabilized until they're off and running. And then hopefully, they can stay accessing our services for a long period of time or a short period of time. What we do primarily is resource and referral. So if we don't provide the resource, we know probably who does in the county, and we will hand those individuals off, or I shouldn't say hand them off, but we'll provide a warm handoff to another organization out in the community that we can help provide wraparound services. With the resources that we do provide a hot meal every day. Our community cafe has been open during this whole time. Like I mentioned, we don't do breakfast right now, but we're still doing lunch 7 days a week from 12 to noon. And again, we serve about 30 to 40 walk-up individuals every day and about another 10 to 12 that are living in their vehicles. We also have our food pantry, which is open Monday through Friday, half days. Again, it's a drive-through situation that we have set up, and we may see again throughout the week 10 to 15 individuals who drive through, who are living in their vehicles, pick up some groceries for the week. And actually, we've seen 1 to 3 walk-ups. Homeless individuals come and pick up a box of food. And you know, at this time, it's not something we normally have done in the past, but just because of what's going on in our community, we've tried to remove as many barriers as possible to be as accessible to everyone as possible. And then the biggest thing that we've been providing, again, is that rent assistance, that utility assistance. In 2019, we provided approximately $300,000 to $350,000 in financial assistance. Last year, we provided close to $1.2 million. So people did not fall behind in their rent or have to face a utility shutoff. So for us, you know, we also have a community closet, but we had to close that down during the pandemic because our pantry basically took over the entire first floor of our building. So we're currently not accepting clothing for that program, but we're hoping that we're going to be opening again this fall in some fashion. And we're actually working on changing the focus of our community closet a little bit, where we're not just having a clothing bank, but we're looking to also offer small appliances and sheets and pillows. So again, you know, if an individual or a family's just moved into town, or their housing voucher just got accepted and they're moving into a place with minimal household supplies, that we can provide that free through our community closet. We're always looking for non-perishable foods for our pantry. If you go to our website under donations, you can see a list that's changing all the time, just because the donations and the orders we have coming in change all the time. And then, of course, financial assistance is always king. That's what we can turn around and provide to help with rent assistance and utility assistance. And then I think I would also just close out by saying, if you're local and in the St. Vrain Valley, we're always looking for volunteers. It takes anywhere from 30 to 40 volunteers a day to run our center, even with us working outside of our building right now. We've created where we've got social distancing at all times, whether it's in our commercial kitchen or in our pantry area or working outside. Our staff and our volunteers are all masked up, and about half of our staff are already through the vaccination, and many of our volunteers, because of their age, have already received their vaccination as well. So we feel like our safe environment, as safe as we could make, it's getting safer by the day. So volunteers is always something we're looking for as well, if you're local in Longmont. So real quick nutshell about us. If there's any questions, or if there's anything else you'd like me to add, just please let me know.
Sorry, I was muted. I don't see any questions, Mark, in the chat specific to your presentation. And of course, if anybody has any questions, please let us get the answer for you. And the Art Center has been a fundamental fixture in our community for many years, so we're glad that you're here. So, all right, I'm going to remove the spotlight from Mark, and I'm going to look for our friend Andy, who is here from HOPE, Homeless Outreach Providing Encouragement. I love that acronym and that mission. And says it all. So, Andy, tell us about HOPE.
Sure. So my name is Andy. I run our street outreach and our volunteer program at HOPE. I feel like everybody has touched on all the things I was going to talk about already, which is great. We're all working towards the same thing, and we all work together to accomplish that. So HOPE's, we work strictly with the homeless population here in Longmont for now. Our mission really is to get people housed. That's our main mission, is to move people into housing. Short of that, we make sure people have basic needs and try to bring dignity to people that really don't get a whole lot of respect in the community. So from a mission standpoint, that really summarizes it. I'll talk about, right now we have 3 programs. Our 3 main programs, of course, is one of them is street outreach. And that's where a lot of our donations go. So people that are donating clothing, a lot of it ends up to the folks that are actually living on the streets. Pretty much just to summarize is everything that Liz talked about. Small size jeans, men's jeans especially, size 30 to 34, we can't keep them on our shelves. They just go really quick. Right now, I don't need cotton socks, but we do need wool socks for people so their feet can stay warm. We were blessed earlier this year. Somebody donated over 3,000 pairs of socks to us, which is a tremendous amount of socks to have to end a store. So that we've been blessed with abundance this year as far as that goes. I can't complain. It's a good problem to have. Wool socks, some of the odder things that we need, which will tie more. Oh, let me get back to donations. So we could use some more hats, but getting back to what everybody's talked about, dark colors are preferred. Every once in a while, we get somebody who really wants that bright green hat or a pink hat, but it's really the dark colors and sort of bigger hats with tighter weaves. So if it's a loose weave, it doesn't, the feedback we get is it doesn't keep their head very warm. So a tight weave or a tight knit does a better job. We could use wool socks I talked about, jeans. Those are the things that make it to the streets. We have a sheltering program. So we are sheltering people here in Longmont. I'd say we're averaging 25 to 30 people a night on days when it's nicer out. I don't know what to expect tonight because it seems like a really beautiful day. And when it was cold, we were close to capacity of 49 people each night. To do that, we need to feed those folks. So because of COVID, we've moved more towards paper plates and paper bowls. So it's sort of an odd donation item, but it's something we go through a lot of. We feed our people through our Soup Angel program, which is a volunteer-based program. If anybody out there outside of knitting really likes to cook, we're looking for more people to cook. We ask people to cook about 10 to 15 meals, family style, and that goes directly either to our shelter or to our other program, which I'm going to talk about momentarily. That other program is our Safe Lot program, which started this year. It gives people that are living in their cars a safe place to park at night. We provide them with meals, showers, and case management around that to get them into housing. I found out last week or the week before that everybody who started with our program back in June is now housed. So, as people get housed, we're able to bring new people into the program and move them towards housing as well. So we've opened up our second lot recently and looking to open up our third lot shortly here in Longmont. And pretty soon, we're looking to open up a lot in Boulder to expand that program. So we do need people to cook for these programs. So that's a volunteer opportunity for folks. At our shelter, not the Safe Lot, we have remained open. And we're also looking for people to help serve the meals each night. It's about a 2-hour shift and you get to come in. We are as COVID responsible as we can. Everybody's wearing masks. We social distance as much as we can. And so far we've had no problems with COVID at all this year, which is a blessing. We weren't really sure what to expect when this hit last March, but we've been pretty fortunate in that regard as well. And a lot of that is the precautions that we take. So our clients right now are getting tested weekly, and volunteers in the community and everybody's taking the precautions they need to take. If people aren't feeling well, they don't come in. We highly encourage that self-responsibility, and everybody seems to be pretty good with that. So we are short volunteers there. I could use a few more people. I'll leave my information here in the chat and just reach out to me and we can get that set up. That is all I have on my list. So I'm open to answer any questions. I'm seeing them pop up here. Hats can be made out of yarn. Yarn is okay. That works well. And people in the Safe Lots, right now, lap robes is kind of, and is kind of an interesting thing. We have quite a few blankets. Lap robes may be good. You know, we also accept pets in our safe lot. So maybe something that, you know, a dog or a cat could sleep on or get covered up by might be a good thing.
This is a great time, folks. We have some really great agencies represented in this hour. So if anyone has some questions they want to ask, this is a great time to get it from our guests. Out there. Well, I've lived in this community since I was 2, and one thing I've noticed as we've grown, we've still continued to keep the heart of Longmont as a focus of our care, and I'm proud to be a citizen in this town because I've met so many people that come into the yarn store with their gifts and their donations for breast cancer during the month of October when we're doing our drive for prosthetic breasts that are knitted or crocheted. Our community always shows up when we're working to make warm things from the homeless. It wasn't just a 1-month initiative. It's a year-round initiative where people are coming in all the time with donations for those less fortunate. So I don't see that ever ending. We just picked March as a very long, cold month that we have picked as the month that we focus on making warm things for the homeless. So it doesn't mean that we are focused only on homeless, but it just seems like that's what we wrapped our arms around at the time. So be interested in looking at a slideshow from a ways back of some of the things we did in the past and some of our donations that we've had. If I can make this technology work, we bombed. These are the Girl Scouts making hats.
There we go.
More Girl Scouts making hats. This is back in 2011. This is when we went downtown on the corner where everybody protests and did our first homeless initiative, and we had some people running through in costume bomb our yarn bombing session. These were some of the things we put out to try to communicate our mission and what we were standing for. This is Sequoia. She's one of our youth that's now a senior in high school who was out there help spreading the word. This is kind of a backwards way of doing things. This is when we went to the museum south of town and yarn bombed their goose with these tags that talk about the homeless needs in our community and problem. This is when we went to the flower bin. No, this is actually a Blue Ribbon Farm. They let us yarn bomb their goose on the corner, and we had a lot of people saying, "Did you see that goose has something knitted on it?" It's like, yeah, I wonder how that happened. This is kind of the core group from the initial initiative. That's Jane that used to work at the yarn store, and some of the folks from the senior center and customers that were very involved yarn bombing. We thought yarn bombing was a good way to get the word out. Left hand let us crawl up on the roof, or they crawled on the roof, and they yarn bombed their goose with a big red hat. Oops, that's me. And then this is the finished yarn bombed goose. And these are some of our community members that are busy that day making warm things for the homeless around our table back in the day when we could do that. And this was another gathering of folks that came in to make warm things for the homeless. And let's see if there's anything else. This is a current donation. This is Janet. I think she might even be in this meeting. She just brought in 21 hats to distribute and share. We have a very, like I said, generous community. I guess the funny thing was I went down to the city of Longmont after we yarn bombed all these other geese that's highly pixelated, and said, "We've bombed every goose in town but yours in the city building." And they're like, "You've done what?" And I told them, I said, "Did you get permission?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Did you really go to the museum? They should have never let you do that." And they demanded that we stop defacing public property. So last February, we yarn bombed downtown with hearts. And I went to the LDDA and said, "Okay, we'd like people to wake up on Valentine's Day with some handmade hearts to spread some love. And would you back us if the city gets on our case?" And they said we will back. nobody threw us in jail. But I have to tell you, back after the city told us we couldn't deface public property, we were a little bummed that we couldn't put more hats on geese and take pictures to promote awareness about homelessness. So. Any other comments or thoughts? I see there's another pop-up in the chat. Andy gave some information about hope. I'm always reminded when the Girl Scouts learned about homelessness and Hope came and talked with them, the fellow that shared his story talked about having a full-time job, working overtime, doing construction, slid off a roof, and went from being a member of our community who could meet the bills and expectations of his situation to someone that found himself in a hospital without health insurance from his employer and then homeless after he shared how all of us, I think, could actually be one banana peel away from being homeless or in need. And it just reminds me every day how lucky I am and how much I have to, that I need to give back to the community. So I hope all of you guys know how much I appreciate you coming. I'm sorry I'm couple, but
We want to thank you for bringing this program and for bringing the people together to learn about the different organizations. And we appreciate everybody that came today and I learned a lot for the organizations that we have here in Longmont and Boulder, and appreciate the work that everybody does, whether it's knitting a hat or it's, making sure somebody has a place to stay overnight. And then we have the yarn shop to help us all provide and give us that opportunity. Thank you.
so again, if you bring things in, don't take it personally or offense, but if you make warm things, we will be putting them in a plastic bag and then bringing them down in the basement and then distributing to the organizations that need. And you can also, as you've learned today, these organizations could use your help in many other ways besides the warm things. And the need isn't just in the month of March, it's year round. So I love you guys for showing up. This is my community, my people here, and the guests that have come to present. Thank you as well. So thank you all.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great
Thank you.
You have a great weekend.